experts, male and female experts, you find that they give very similar ratings. You don't have that. In groups from the public, you usually have a big difference between male and female respondents, but you don't have it with the experts. And here is some data on regression models fitted for experts and the public. And you see that the regression coefficients are very similar, which suggests or supports the notion that the structure of the ratings is the same, even if the level differs between experts and the public. And these data give you some hint about what's going on here. Because if you look at general risk, look at dread and new risk, the traditional factors in the psychometric model. If you look at general risk, you see that experts don't show any correlation with the two traditional factors. But if you look at personal risk, you see the correlation is quite high and very similar to the one you find for the public. And if you look at some of the other factors, such as immoral risk, you find there is some correlation even for experts. So I think that the initial conclusions about experts were due to the fact that they studied dread and new risk, and that they studied general risk and not public risk. Personal risk. Yeah, that's just summarizing what I've been saying. Now, why do we have group differences? I think one very important factor is social interaction and social validation. That is, the risk assessment that we make, the risk perception we have is dependent upon what other people tell us. And especially if you talk very often to other people, you see that the effect is quite big. Here, frequency of interaction about the issue of nuclear power, people who talk to others very often about it, you see that there is a tremendous difference in attitude depending on what is the opinion of your friends or the people you talk to. Tremendous difference. You tend to have similar attitude to the ones that you speak with if you speak with them often. If you don't speak with them often, you don't have that effect. So it seems that what I call this social validation, that the risk opinion that we form depends on what friends, what attitude our friends have if we interact with them. And I think that the gender difference, which is very common, could be partly due to this factor. We asked our respondents whether they talk mostly to male or female people about nuclear power. And you see that men mostly talk to other men, and that for women there was a tendency to talk more to other women. And this, if you look at the attitude data for those who talk mostly with other men, mostly with women, or equally often, you see a very systematic trend that there is a difference in attitude depending upon whom you speak with. This could be then this could be part of the explanation why we have group factors such as gender, also geographical factors, very clear in my studies, for example, of nuclear waste attitudes. Some of municipalities tend to be quite accepting, even positive, to a local repository, but many other places people in many other places are very negative. So, and I also think experts differ from the public could be explained with the same kind of factor. Well, summing up what our research seems to imply for risk communication, the following points should be made. Emotions are important to take into account, but not only strong fear, also other emotions. Concern about interfering with nature is a major factor, but novelty of a risk seems not to be. People's understanding and trust in science is very important. Social trust is somewhat less important. Risk and probability seem to be marginal. They respond to notions about anticipated consequences and whether a technology has unique advantages. Experts are not that different from the public in how they react to hazards outside their field of responsibility. And social validation is a promising theme, I think, for future research. I think I have a few more minutes and I can tell you about some nanotechnology attitudes that I very recently studied, and I haven't published yet these data. National representative data, about 1,000 people, response rate 54%, postal survey. Swedish people are very patient and very cooperative, so we send big thick questionnaires to them and they will fill them out and send them back to us. That's an ideal country to work in. These data were collected recently. I had 20 technologies were rated as to acceptability, if they should be used much more or much less. Nanotechnology is defined here as technology which works in an extremely small scale, atoms, molecules. And these are the approval ratings, average separately for men and women. And here you see nanotechnology is up there, seems to be fairly well accepted. Women are a bit more suspicious than men are, but even women seem to be accepting nanotechnology in this data. Level of education is important. People who are more educated seem to be more positive, but all of the groups end up on the positive side of the rating scale. Age, older people are more suspicious or more negative. Also, the very youngest ones seem to be a little less positive than the others. In this study, we also had extensive data on basic values. There is, according to two different systems, Schwartz, Israeli psychologist called Schwartz, has a very famous value scale. I analyzed it in 3 dimensions: achievement, pro-social behavior, and discipline. Seems not to be related to nanotechnology attitudes. Then there's another famous value theory or model by Douglas and Buldavsky, cultural theory, which specifies 3 different dimensions: individualism, hierarchical attitude, and egalitarian attitude. They have some relation with attitude to nanotechnology, but not very strong. Here I did a factor analysis of the acceptability ratings, and you see that nanotechnology is somewhere there, which seems to be a group of fairly recent advanced technologies. That it's similar to nanotechnology in the minds of the respondents. So these are the conclusions. Evaluation was positive. But we should keep in mind that so far we have had relatively little public debate about nanotechnology. Women were less positive than men were, but this was not true of all technologies. For example, wind power, there was no difference between men and women. People with a high level of education were more positive. Older people were more negative. Nanotechnology was included in a cluster of new and advanced technologies. The nanotechnology attitude was unrelated to basic values. I think it would be interesting in future work to look at probabilities versus consequences, social versus epistemic trust, interfering with nature, the role of affect, attitudes and emotions, and specific aspects not found for other hazards. And if you want more information about our work, you find it on my homepage. I thank you for attention, and if you want to go to Sweden, this is how Stockholm looks like. Thank you.